Mula sa kabisera ng Inglaterra, sa puso ng Britanya, London, UK. London, UK. Ito ang Channel Philippines Network, Pinoy Radio UK. Pinoy Radio UK. Sumasahing papawid, 24 oras. 24 oras. Buong linggo. Sa www.pinoyradiouk.com. Ang mga pinakapaborito mga awitin, mga pinakaabangang programa, at mga sariwang balita at impormasyon mula at para sa mga kababayang Pilipino sa UK at sa buong mundo. Pinoy Radio UK. Pinoy Radio UK.
Okay, happy Tuesday mga kaibigan. Okay, happy Tuesday. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. No? Hapon, good evening. Maarap po rito sa London kung saan tayo nagbumula at nagbo-broadcast. No? Good evening ho. Ako po si SONNY LARAGAN and happy Tuesday. Welcome ho sa ating palagiang programa kapag Tuesday evening ho dito sa United Kingdom. Ito po ang Legal Advice Corner. Okay, it starts at 6. We finish at around 7:30. Every Tuesday ho yan for the past more than 2 years. Magti 3 years na siguro tayo. So, welcome ho sa program natin. Magandang gabi ho sa ating mga kababayan sa apat na sulok ng United Kingdom, sa apat na sulok ho ng mga karating nating mga bansa dito sa Europa, no? Sa France, sa Spain, sa Italy, Germany, at sa Scandinavia. No? Good afternoon, good evening ho sa inyo. Advance ho kayo ng isang oras dyan. So, kung kami ay 6 o'clock ho rito, alas 7 ho ng gabi yan. Depende naman. Kung nasa Greece ho, mga 2 hours yata ang time difference. Kung nasa Russia ho kayo, mga 3 or 4 hour time difference. So anyway, just the same, good evening, good afternoon. And syempre, doon sa ating mga kababayan na nasa Pilipinas, kung kayo ho ay nanonood sa ngayon, may mga kababayan tayo, si Ma'am Cora. Si Ma'am Cora, I'm sure nanonood yan. Nasa Pilipinas na ho siya, lumipad ho siya ng Sunday. Hindi ko lang alam kung anong araw siya dumating sa Pilipinas. Siguro mga Sunday ang dating ni Ma'am Cora. So kung ngayon ay Tuesday, tatlong araw na ho nasa Pilipinas. Anyway, so magandang umaga ho, madaling araw sa ating mga kababayan sa Pilipinas, sa America, Canada, magandang hapon ho, no? Depende kung nasan ho yung bahagi ho ng North America, naroon, just the same, welcome ho. Siyempre ho, itong ating programa ay Legal Advice Corner. So ang pinaka-star ho rito ay abogada. Isa ho ang eksperto, siya ho ang managing partner ng Deo Volente Solicitors or DV Solicitors. Mga kaibigan, pakikilala ko na yung pinakamamahal ho natin. No? At inaabangan ko kung ano naman ang kanyang next adventure. Dahil ito'y punong-puno ho ng adventure. At napakahusay magluto, no? Mag-create. No? Parang yung palabas na napapanood ko dati, yung Ready, Steady, Cook dito sa United Kingdom. So, syempre, mga kaibigan, welcome natin sa ating program, ang star of the show, Brains and Beauty. Walang iba kundi si Attorney DANNA Quinto. Attorney, magandang hapon. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, Mr. Laragan, and happy Tuesday sa ating mga ka-remote social bubble. Tuloy po kayo as usual. It's a bright Tuesday still. Nasa end, last session for August before burn na next week. Pasko na.
So yeah, 2 days from now.
It's quite exciting. Ayan no, medyo pa ano ka na ng buhok dyan, windy na eh.
Malamig na. Oo, mahangin.
Parang commercial lang ng ng shampoo. Pwede na dapat i-sponsoran yan. Nananawagan kami sa mga shampoo dyan at mga conditioner. Tingnan nyo naman, ganda ng
conditioner.
ano ng buhok ni Mr. Laragan. How are
Maganda
you,
ang buhok
sir?
mo, attorney, ha? Very long. Ano yan? Malakas ba sa shampoo or conditioner? Yeah, because you
Conditioner.
have,
Malakas
yung
ang
buhok ko siguro,
conditioner.
2.5 nung sa'yo eh. Conditioner. Yo, tama. Oh. Ang
Malakas ang
conditioner mo ba,
conditioner.
or do you, nasa niya, sa ends lang, or do you condition the whole of it?
Lahat, lahat. Lahat,
Lahat.
lahat.
Okay, okay, okay. Then nasanay tayo sa Pilipinas nga, lahat, no? Pero dito, biglang nakikita ko doon sa some of the postings, na ang nila, kinocondition lang daw, yung dulo lang eh. Ewan ko. So,
Mm,
lately, what I've been doing is, kinocondition ko yung dulo na lang. One thing is, nakakatipid. Ayan. Oh.
nakakatipid.
Pero ang ganda lang, ikaw maganda ang hair ni. It's kinda mahaba, no? Long flowing hair. Di ba?
Ay, okay.
Nasisilaw nga ako, medyo malakas ang ano.
Malakas ba ang ano dyan ngayon? Ang araw?
Hindi naman, yung glare. Di ba nung nakaraang mga shows natin, naka-shades ako? Dahil nasisilaw ako, parang nasisilaw ako ngayon eh, no? Ayoko namang naka-shades ako, naka-sunglasses, eh, parang hindi nila, baka sabi nila, mukhang puyat si Mr. Sonny Laragan. Mukhang hindi
Hangover.
tatakot na mata. Oo, di ba ganyan? Pag may hangover, puyat, di ba?
May hangover.
Pero I was
Yeah.
testing it last time. Oh. Ay, kumusta? How was your weekend? How's your weekend?
Nag-luto-luto at nag-walking, lots of rest. Puro luto tayo
Oh.
over the weekend. Naganahan magluto. Ayan ay, alam mo naman yung mga pinagagawa ko minsan, pinaglalaroan ko yung mga instant noodles at mga ano. So I did that kasi
Oh.
may lamb chops the day before. I was doing lamb chops sa lamb chops apat
Mm.
yung laman. So I had some
Wow.
leftovers. So that's a Korean dish using the leftovers from the other day and using some other lamb chops. So
Egg,
that's
lamb
quite good.
chops, and then noodles, no? Ano yung
Noodles,
ano yung parang strand ng mga malilit na greenish na on top
nor
of the egg yolk. Ano yan?
normally. So that's seaweed, yung pang wrapper ng sushi. Masarap yun eh. Masarap yan eh halo sa mga sa mga
Okay.
Korean or Japanese dishes. So
Oh.
that's one of the dishes. The other one, I don't know if the direct has it, is that's
May isa
that's
pa,
the other
pang
one.
ano dyan. Hindi, iba to.
Uh,
Ito. Yan. Uy, ano ba to?
Ayan. That's the
Pork
original.
chop?
Yan yung lamb chops. Lamb chops.
Lamb chops. So, with asparagus.
Hindi. It's green beans.
Green
Mali
beans
tata
nga yan.
yung,
Okay ba?
mali tata yung camera mo dyan. Natawa.
Okay. Green
Uh,
beans
with carrots
with
and potatoes.
carrots. Okay.
And then
Potatoes.
a cheese
Okay.
course. Minsan masarap mag-cheese eh. So I had Roquefort and marmalade. Yeah, natuwa ako
Mm.
magluto kasi bank holiday weekend. And then the flowers that Direct posted earlier, ewan ko kung
Oh, yung flower.
wild flowers,
Kanina,
yan.
pinakita niya kanina. Yung flower kanina,
Yeah.
pinakita niya asan yun. Yung bago,
I think,
ayan, ano
yan.
yan?
Yan. Wild flowers,
Ginawa mo
yan.
yan,
So that's
attorney?
Yeah, ginawa ko. In-arrange ko. So, I just picked it from one of the walks, the park, sa gilid ng park. Mukhang okay naman. Wala namang igbabawal doon. And iba-ibang places naman para hindi makalbo yung isang place. Hindi naman marami yan eh. So, it was common yarrow, yung wild angelica hop, as in yung ginagamit sa beer, mga bilog-bilog dyan.
Mhm.
And then mugwort yung isa sa mahaba. It was fun. It was fun doing that. It was fun doing a bit of flower arranging. So nakakatuwa. Ayan, parang ako din eh. Hindi rin
Okay.
nakafocus. Focus din tayo ng camera. Ayan, okay na. Okay na. So yeah, it was good. It was fun. Going outside. I did some blackberry foraging as well because it's that time of the month. I think I was just looking for Siguro namimiss ko lang yung outdoors. Namimiss ko maglakad-lakad at maghanap ng puno. Because we've been very busy with work lately. Andito lang tayo. And before lumamig, dahil pag lumamig, wala ka nang makikitang ano-ano. So yeah, it's quite good. Kayo po, ano bang ng bank holiday? Ayan, nasa na po si Mr. Laragan.
Okay na. And then we watched, on Sunday, we watched Made in Malacanang. So yeah, we enjoyed it. We had a grand time. For the first time in my life, naiyak ako 7 times yata. Siguro 7 times. For the first time ever in my life, naiyak ako kasi parang you can relate to the movie kasi ng the last days of the Marquesas, no, prior to flying out of Malacanang during at the height of the EDSA revolution, di ba? February 2016 ba yan? 16 yata. 16 ba? Hindi ko na matanda. 16.
1986, di ba? 86 ba?
Tama. 1996 yata. 1996 ba? Tama?
86,
sorry. 86, tama. You're right.
86 yata, the year before I was
86.
Yeah.
Oh, really? The year before you were born?
Yeah.
1987 ka ba, attorney?
Oh, yes. I just told everyone my age now. Yeah, 1987.
Pero hindi ba sabihin, 86, 86, okay. Okay, hindi ka pa pinapanganak noon. At during the time of that time na lumipad sila Marcos, Paules, I remember I was doing an evening program on air, on the show sa FM, sa DZBM FM. You know why? Kasi yung boss ko, lumapit sa akin. Sabi niya, Sonny, umalis na sila Marcos. Sabi niya, nakalipad na. That night, di ba, via helicopter to, I think, hindi ko alam kung Clark yata muna. From Clark, diretso na ng Guam, from Guam to Hawaii, So, yeah, that was many years ago. Ilan years? 86, 96, 2006, 2016.
36 years.
Ilang years?
Yeah.
36 years ago. Imagine mo yun, 36.
What?
I was a DJ doing my show. I couldn't forget that day dahil on air ako, yung boss ko nga, sabi niya sa akin, Sonny, umalis na. So, may EDSA revolution, na nasa punong-puno ng mga tao yung EDSA, yung mga tangke, inaharang, ganyan, no? So, the first time ko, hindi ako talaga, I don't really watch mga Tagalog movies. I really seldom, siguro bihirang-bihira. I'm not a big fan of Filipino movies, no. Ever since, no. Hindi ako talaga masyadong nanonood. Kaya lang ito, napanood lang ako. Kami mga some of the VIP special guests, no, the producers, si Joe Carr, no, Joe Carillo, no. Congratulations for a very successful screening sa Phoenix Theater last weekend. Saturday and Sunday. They're going to be having some screenings all over the UK, Manchester, Birmingham. Okay. Pero hindi ko pa pinapanganak noon, no? So, pero yun nga, kasi nga, nakaka-relate ako dahil I was there. I was there. During the time na yun, andun ako, buhay na ako. So, yeah, yun lang. Yun lang, attorney. Teka muna, anong topic natin for today? What are we going to be talking about for ikaw? Ano ba di-discuss mo?
Yes, dahil nandito pa rin tayo sa matrimonial financial series. Dami na natin dinaanan natin yung kung saan hahanapin yung disclosure, kung anong mga asset yung kasama, non-matrimonial and matrimonial property. Ngayon, the $1 million question or the £1 million question, kumbaga, is how does the court distribute assets and income on divorce? So, paano yan? Paano yan i-consider ng court if you have all those information ready, andyan na? Paano ba yan hinahati? At yan ang unang-unang tinatanong ng mga kababayan natin. May feedback na ata tayo.
Oo nga, bumakalabas yung boses mo na may napindot ako, attorney. I was trying to Binabasa ko kasi sana kasi para lumilipat sa mas malaki. Sandali lang, sandali lang. Bakit nga ba? Oo, paano ba natin gagawa ng paraan to? Oh, ayun. Ayan. Okay na, attorney.
Okay na.
Hindi kasi gusto ko lang makita kasi from my lower monitor, mas malaki yung text. Kaso merong lumalabas na text yung text na parang yung subtitles. Yun ang gusto kong tanggalin. Paano ko ba tatanggalin yung subtitles? Kasi
May subtitles tayo.
So hindi ko Oo, may subtitles ito. Oo, yan, subtitles. Ngayon, gusto kong basahin yung title kasi pagka sa harap ko, maliit masyado yung screen ko dito sa pinaka-camera ko. So I'm trying to rely on my monitor sa gilid na mas malaki bababasa ko. Babasahin ko dahil hindi ko nga nabanggit Ano nga uli yung topic? Direct, paki-flash nga lang para basahin ko rin.
Flash muna ni Direk.
Flash mo muna para hindi ko kasi ayan, medyo hinintay ko ngayon lumipat dito a few seconds. Ayan, how the court distributes assets and income on divorce. Ayun. Yun ang gusto ko lang, yun ang aking objective lang, attorney. Gusto ko lang mabasa. Kasi pag dito ko binasa sa harap ko, ang liit. Masyado maliit, hindi ko makita. So, nagiging monitor. Okay. Alright. So, yan ang topic natin for today, no? So, ayan, how the court distributes assets and income on divorce. Ayan, ako, magandang topic yan for today, no? Okay. So, we're going to a bumper lang to just introduce yung ating hula-hula kung sino yung mga bumati sa atin. Naabangan ko si Ma'am Cora dahil alam kong umalis nung Saturday. Hindi na kami natuloy magkita nung Saturday sa Heathrow. Umalis siya ng alas 4 flight yata niya, alas 12 siya nandun. So, ayan. Okay. Alright. So, go bumper, direct. Okay, ayan, okay. Ito na, attorney, ating little game that we play every show, no? Ayan. Sige, sino ang iyong unang hula na bumati sa atin? Sige.
Nakita ko si Oliver Fernandez. I don't know, sa social media ko ng few hours nag-comment siya. So, naalala ko siya at naalala ko last week. Talagang, hopefully okay ka na, Oliver. Naalala ko tuloy na may sakit ka last week. So, sa ngalan ng ng full recovery ni Oliver Fernandez, si Oliver Fernandez ang hula ko.
Si Oliver Fernandez. O, sige. Let's see. Sige, direct. Tignan natin. Ayan, parang kinakabahan ako pag ganyan, no? Parang, ay, nakabalik na siya.
Ayan, nakabalik na siya. Andun na siya. Checking in
nakabalik
from
na.
Seattle, Washington.
Oo
Oliver
nga,
Fernandez.
ayan.
Good morning na uli siya
Oo.
minsan kasi.
Good morning. Yes.
Tuloy ako. Good morning from Everett near Seattle, Washington. Jet lag still. Kailan ka na nabalik, Oliver? But back to the grind. So back to work na. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you, Attorney Donna, Kuya Sonny, and Direk Pao. Thank you to Oliver. Welcome back home. And mukhang fully recovered na siya and back to the grind. Kailan ka umuwi, Oliver? Kailan ka nakadating?
Kailan nabalik mo? Tama, Happy Tuesday, everyone. So, kailan ka nakabalik? At saka back to the grind na. Ibig sabihin, the day after pagdating mo, we're back to work na agad. Wala ka bang break na day, no? Oo. Ano bang weather ngayon dito? Parang malamig-lamig na rito sa labas, no? So, yes, malamig-lamig na. Okay, sige. So, Oliver, tama ka, attorney, ha? Naka 1-0, ha? 1. Naka 1 ka, okay.
1-0.
Sige, next, sino hula mo?
Next is, ang hula ko ay si Marian Galicia Panera. Marian Galicia Panera. Sige nga.
Salutatorian. Sige nga. Marian Galicia Panera.
Ito every week na. Tama ba?
Oh, yeah, okay. Bakit nandiyan siya sa ibang lugar? Hindi siya...
Yeah.
Bakit hindi pumasok ng mismong pangalan niya? Yes.
Marian, but ayun siya. Hello po, Kuya Sonny and Attorney Dana at sa lahat. Happy Tuesday po and stay safe always. God bless us po. God bless you too, Marian Galicia Panero ba? Talagang
God bless, Marian.
First honor at second honor natin, no? Itong summa cum laude at magna cum tawag din na 'to, hindi natitinag, hindi mo maano, it's a challenge.
La-
Challenge 'to sa ibang gustong umano. Ewan ko paano nila nagagawa yun, unang-una talaga sila ano. Talagang,
Amazing,
hindi mo na
amazing, amazing,
it's amazing, very good.
amazing,
Naku,
no? Amazing how they can do it, no? Consistent. So Marian, mabuhay
yeah,
ka. I'm looking forward to seeing Marian attorney. Sana makita natin siya in person.
nice.
Mayakap natin, makumusta, mabeso-beso, no? So siya,
Beso.
hindi ka mukha ng iba natin mga ano, nakita na natin. Okay, so nakadalawa ka na. Very good. So, okay. Sino kayo ng pangatlo natin? Nahula mo.
Etong pangatlo, talagang bihira ako mahulaan eh. Ewan ko lang, na-miss ko
Okay.
si Tita Cora eh. Na-miss ko,
Si
iba
Tita
na.
Cora.
Hindi pala si Tita Cora, si Team Lebro. Nakita ko na
Hindi,
agad
Team
eh.
Libro ka ba?
Team Lebro,
Okay.
pinakita.
Team Libro. Okay. Pinakita na kagad ni Direk, no? Hindi ka pa nakahula na.
Oo, okay
Oo.
lang.
Okay.
Kunwari si Tita Cora, pero wala na si
Okay,
Tita Cora na.
si Tita Cora. Hindi si Tita Cora. Si
Tita
Team
Cora, basahin
Libro.
nila
Sige,
natin.
basahin mo na, attorney. Masakita na
Team
eh.
Lebro. Happy Tuesday, magandang attorney Dana, and slim and soft hair looking. Good Sir Sonny and super Sir Radigan, lovely
Software.
kumlado, direct.
Okay.
And all happy viewers, God bless us all from Team Labrojo, Titanic, Belfast. Di ba?
Wow,
Hindi
tama.
hindi
Tama,
lumalabas
Titanic.
yung picture nila eh. So, namimiss ko yung mga profile picture nila. Hindi siguro nalalabas pa.
Oo, mabuhay ha, Team Libro. Oo, yan. I'd love to go to Belfast again. I've been there a million times, no? Gusto ko makapasyal ulit. And syempre, of course, meron tayong mga bagong friends diyan katulad ng Libro family, no? May mga old friends, pero at least makita man lang sila yung Libro family. No? Mabuhay kayo rin, ha? Thank you. Okay. So, ayan. Sige, next, Direk, no? Baka tulog pa si Ma'am Cora. Baka tulog pa. No?
Bulabugan. Si Analu Antepuesto, binaliktad
Si Analu.
Puesto Elan, si Analu pala to. Amazing evening, Attorney Dana. Kuya Tani, Direct Pao, and to all viewers, stay safe and healthy. God bless po sa lahat. God bless you too, Analu. Ayan.
Mabuhay,
Ayan na.
Analu, ha? Si Analu.
Yung
Oo.
profile picture, ganda.
Ikaw rin, stay safe and healthy.
There's
Anong
there's
tanong?
there's a
Tanong.
questions. Sino ba nagtanong nito? Will the court give to account when it comes to sentimental reason? Like if the assets like car was something given by ex-girlfriend, can the other party have entitled? Or if it's not a matrimonial, she cannot have a say to it. It depends on you cannot.
Will
First
the
of all,
court?
hindi ka makaka-ring fence ng asset hanggat hindi enough yung asset base nyo to satisfy reasonable needs of both parties. Ire-reference ko dyan yung ating episode in non-matrimonial and matrimonial property. So may sentimental value man yan or wala. I think at the starting point is the actual valuation of it. And you can't say, well, I'm going to take this if, it's I would say siguro ang mas appropriate is heirloom property. So, say for example, and it does happen, I've seen it in cases na minsan yung jewelry is an heirloom of the family, or alternatively, we maximize a bigger asset base, which is a farm. It happens a lot, a farm of a family na it's expected to pass on generation to generation. The same principles apply. Expensive watch and expensive farm given to a son or a daughter, passed on generations by generations. The expectation is steward lang siya. It doesn't mean a successful argument for ring fencing. Akin lang to dahil para sa akin to, para very sentimental value. You have to really look at whether or not na-retain ng isang property ang feature niya as a non-matrimonial property. We have a lot of that in our non-matrimonial versus matrimonial property episode. But later, if you tune in how the court decides, ano yung factors, and I will give a spoiler alert, Section 25 factors of the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973, yun ang exact location ng batas. Yun ang exact batas, location, yung exact root, provenance ng batas na ina-apply dito. Yun ang dadaanan ng korte when they look at how they, they apportion those assets. And potentially, meron kang makikita may interesting na last part doon na kung gusto ng abogado mo maging a bit out of the box ang kanyang argument, they can insert that argument there. But it still forms part of a larger principle, which is bawal kang magkuha na sa'yo lang or you ring fence an asset hanggat hindi nasa-satisfy yung reasonable needs ng bawat isa.
Okay, teka muna, attorney. Ito, parang pagkakaintindi ko rito is that parang lalaki siguro to eh. Hindi ko na I was just trying to understand lang, no? Lalaki na may ex-girlfriend na nagbigay sa kanya ng assets, kunyari, jewelry or car or whatever. Ngayon, may bago na siya ngayong parang sweetheart. I don't know kung...
We're talking about matrimonial lang ngayon, Matrimonial Causes Act lang tayo, about married people lang, this is about marriage, okay. So probably ngayon...
Paki-flash mo nga lang, direct ulit question, parang hindi ko kasi, parang I'm trying to more or less decipher it, no? So ang question, ang parang nandiyan, hintay ko mag-flash, yun. So, ang sinasabi niya rito, nawala ko, direct, no? Ayun. Will the court give account when it comes to sentimental reason, like if the assets like cars was given by ex-girlfriend, can the other partner have entitled other partner? So, hindi pwede, matrimony lang yun, diba? Or if it's not matrimonial, she cannot have a say to it?
I think if
parang naghahabol yung bagong partner, naghahabol?
I think yung bagong partner niya, yun yung asawa niya. I think that's my...
Asawa na ba? Siguro, okay. Understand. Nga, malabo eh. Parang kasi,
I don't know, hindi ko. But look, general principle lang. General principle, halimbawa may ex ka, sino man yan na nagbigay sa'yo ng expensive gift, Patek Philippe man yan, o what's the Richard Mille, which is worth about 1.5 million pounds at the moment. Hindi mo pwedeng bigay sa'yo ng...
Ano yung 1.5? Attorney, ano sinasabi 1.5? Ano yung 1.5?
Richard Mille. It's Richard Mille watch. Richard Mille.
Richard Mille watch. Richard
Mille watch.
Okay. Yeah. Richard Mille. So it's a watch. Richard Mille watch. Okay.
About 3 million pounds.
Wow.
It's incredibly expensive.
Wow.
Yes, that's actually a good example. Binigay sa'yo. Meron kang ex-girlfriend na multi-billionaire. And they said, sa'yo na to. This is yours. This is absolutely yours. You entered, hindi kayo nagkatuluyan, you're still good friends. They say, no, you keep it. That's fine. Marami pa akong 100 pa yung ganyan ko. Halimbawa, sinabi ganyan, di ba? So you went on, you married someone, hindi kasing bilyonaryo ni ex, you have asset base na, halimbawa, average house dito sa UK, 250,000 pounds. So when we do papakita ko, full ko para hindi makita yung spoiler. When we do yung ating matrimonial pot na ganyan, kasama ang iyong very expensive watch na Richard Mille dyan.
Okay.
Kasama dyan, dahil hindi mo pwedeng ilabas ang 1.5 million na watch kung ang asset base nyo lang ay 250,000 pounds. So, it can't really buy, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin, akin yung kalahati ng 250, pero akin pa rin yung 1.5 million na watch. The court would say no, that's not. The court will likely say no, because you can't start ring fencing an asset, ring fencing, akin lang to, if the assets, yung asset base na nire-rely mo, hindi naman enough para masatisfy yung reasonable needs nyong dalawa, and it would cause an unfair outcome. So if it causes, you end up with 1.5 million, sa yung proposal, 1.5 million, plus sa'yo pa yung kalahati ng bahay, 125, then, it's unlikely to succeed as an argument. Especially, sasabihin ng asawa, ako nagbayad ng servicing niya kasi mahal ang servicing ng mga expensive watches. The wife would probably say, hindi, galing sa joint account namin yung pag-service ng watch na yan, which probably would cost about a few £1,000s each year. So, or each 2 to 3 years. So, there is, whilst I understand na it depends on certain circumstances, it depends on the value of that asset. Minsan, on the other hand, if you've got, sabihin na natin, a £1,000 na Cartier or Omega na watch na hindi 1.5 million, pero ito ay bigay sa'yo ng lolo mo na namatay, paboritong lolo mo. What you're probably gonna end up doing is i-adjust yung asset. Baka sabihin mo sa kanya, akin na tong asset na to ha, but you can have the £1,000 sofa or you can have the £1,000 in the savings. So merong balancing, merong mga trade-off na yung nangyayari. It doesn't necessarily mean na ibebenta yung particular asset just to have an equal division of it. Sometimes you can adjust the division and then you can trade off assets. One can have an asset that they like better in exchange for an asset na hindi naman ganun ka sentimental sa kanila. So you see that the difference, that the value of it would sometimes have an impact on how we can realize that asset and how we can adjust that asset to trade it off with something else.
Okay, wow, trade-off. Okay. All right. So, we're gonna have a short break, attorney. Direct, ngayon, tsaka sa ending, pasok na rin natin yung meron tayong isang, anong tag dito? Event, Pinoy event sa Kent, no? Ito. September 3. Uy, malapit na. Itong weekend na. Ayan, gates open at 10 a.m. Hawkins. So, I'll be emceeing this at Hawkins Community Center. Here in Fortsdale, ayan, Hawkins, Folkestone, Kent. Kailangan maiano niyan. Puntahan ho ninyo, no? Philippine Festival of Food, Music, and Culture. Ayun. September 3 na pala yan. Ayan, okay. Ayan, puntahan ho ninyo, no? Kita-kita ho tayo na. I'll be emceeing that event together with, nakalimutan ko na yung kasama. May co-MC ako. Okay, sige, we're gonna have a short break. Pagbalik ko natin yung topic na i-discuss ni Attorney, direct, pakilabas lang. Ayan. How the court distributes assets and, income on divorce. Ito, ayan, income on divorce. All right, so we're gonna have a short break at pagbalik ko natin, i-discuss ni Attorney itong topic natin for today. Saglit po lamang, huwag ko kayong halis.
Mula doon hanggang ngayon, serbisyong mapagkakatiwalaan, serbisyong maaasahan pagdating sa inyong mga padalang balikbayan boxes. Dito ka na sa Forex Cargo. Sa presyong kayang-kaya ng bulsa, sigurado ka pa sa inyong padala. Forex Cargo. Dahil kailangan makarating. Call 0208-813-7064. O, ano pang inaantay niyo mga kabayan? Tayo na sa Forex Cargo.
%100% all natural, tasty, healthy, versatile, 4 unique flavors. Taste a real sauce. Galettos.
May problema ka ba sa landlord mo? Baka evict ka na ni Kuya. May problema sa mga kapitbahay, sa trabaho. O kaya naman kay Mister o kay Mrs. Away tungkol sa mala, mga may utang, mga aksidente, daing o laban sa ospital or sa NHS. Harassment? O baka naman may stalker ka na gusto mong ireklamo? Punta na sa DV Solicitors para matulungan ka pagdating sa mga litigations at iba pang mga legal concerns. DV Solicitors at 2nd floor, Howard House, St. John Street, Bedford, MK42 0DJ. Tumawag sa 01234-350-244 or 01234-225-188. O kaya naman mag-email sa d.quinto@dvsolicitors.com. Visit our website at www.dvsolicitors.com.
Mula sa kabisera ng Inglaterra, sa puso ng Britanya, London, UK. London, UK. Ito ang Channel Philippines Network, Pinoy Radio UK. Pinoy Radio UK. Sumasayang papawid, 24 oras. 24 oras. Buong linggo. Sa www.pinoyradiouk.com. Ang mga pinakapaborito mga awitin, mga pinakaabangang programa, at mga sariwang balita at impormasyon mula at para sa mga kababayang Pilipino sa UK at sa buong mundo. Pinoy Radio UK. Pinoy Radio UK.
Okay, tuloy-tuloy ho tayo sa ating palatuntunang Legal Advice Corner on a happy Thursday. No? Happy Tuesday, should I say. Ako po si SONNY LARAGAN and welcome back. Good evening once again sa ating mga kababayan sa apat na sulok ng United Kingdom. Siyempre, good evening din sa ating mga kababayan sa mga karatig bansa natin. No? France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Portugal, and so on and so forth. No? Okay, well, siyempre, welcome natin once again yung ating star of the show, no? Yung ating eksperto sa larangan ng legal advice dito sa United Kingdom. Walang iba kundi si Attorney DANNA Quinto. Attorney, good evening once again.
Gandang gabi ulit, Mr. Laragan. Good evening, everyone. Tuloy po kayo. And shout out kay Direk Paula. Hindi pa namin siya nag-greet. Good evening, Direk. Walang sawang pag-congratulate this year sa aming cum laude na Direk. Very, very proud kami.
Ayan, oo nga, magkikita yata sila ni Ma'am Cora. So, we're looking forward to that. No? Mabalitaan tayo. Si Ma'am Cora mismo tumatawag.
Facebook Live.
Oh, hopefully, sana mag-Facebook Live silang dalawa, no? Hopefully natin. Okay, Attorney, sige, yung ating topic for today, how the court distributes assets and income on divorce. Ito, sige Attorney, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Laragan. Nandito pa rin po tayo sa ating matrimonial finances series. I'll take you back a few weeks ago. Pumunta na tayo sa proceedings on matrimonial finances. Dumaan din tayo sa matrimonial and non-matrimonial property, which is quite pertinent dun sa question kanina ng ating kababayan about dun sa pwede niya bang angkinin o sabihin na kanya yung binigay sa kanya, whether it will be a non-matrimonial property. So that's one thing as well na dinaanan natin. Last week, dumaan tayo, or a few weeks ago, dumaan tayo kung saan mo hahanapin yung mga disclosures na to, kasi parati kong sinasabi, naku, kailangan andyan yung impormasyon, andyan yung mga dokumento so we can give you full advice sa inyong matter. Ngayon, dito tayo sa pinaka-importanting question. Ito talaga parating tinatanong sa akin ng mga kliyente. So, attorney, paano ba? Ano bang gagawin ng korte dyan? Anong gagawin ng korte sa impormasyon na binigay namin sa'yo? So, tinuruan mo na kaming hanapin yung mga impormasyon na yan. Tinuruan mo na kaming pumunta sa bangko, pumunta sa estate agent, pumunta sa financial advisor, mortgageability, and so on and so forth. Once we have that, anong gagawin natin? Paano natin i-analyze yung mga figures na yun? Anong gagawin ng korte? How are they going to divide those assets? So, As we said, the court's approach first is to calculate ang ano yung matrimonial pot. So, kukunin ko dito ang aking mahiwagang whiteboard na naman. Nag-prepare tayo dito. Nag-drawing na naman tayo. So, ayan ang matrimonial pot natin. Spoiler alert, andyan yung sagot. Ano muna natin? Pwede ba yan? Ayun! Ayan. So, yan ang matrimonial pot. As you can see there, matrimonial pot. Talagang hugis bilog. And it's not hindi lang yan invento ko. Yung matrimonial pot is a common jargon dito sa family law. So if you're looking to do family law, kung ikaw ay isang law student, you're gonna hear that a lot. Matrimonial pot. And just like cooking, dahil mahilig tayo magluto, ano ang sangkap ng matrimonial pot? Ano yung ilalagay natin dyan? Kailangan yung value ng bahay. Ano ba yan? Yung pera, savings. Ayun yung watch, yung kanina. Yun yung expensive watch. Whether yun ba yung Patek mo o yung Omega mo. Peso, overseas assets as well. That's the symbol for that. Your business valuation, credit card, loans, income, car. That's supposed to be a car. Hindi po ako artist. So, pasensya na po. Pension valuation. So, you have, just like yung ginawa natin, the court would also need a picture, a complete picture, kung ano yung asset nyo bago sila pumunta sa distribution na process. When they look at that pot, they have to look at the Section 25 factors. So how will be answered by a particular law, and it's very specific, and it's one piece of legislation. Kung family lawyer ka, you will hear over and over again. If you're a law student, family law student, you will hear this over and over again. And we call this the Section 25 factors. So kung ikaw ay isang kliyente or ng abogado, you hear this as Section 25 factors. So when the court looks at your case, you look at your matrimonial pot, titingnan niya yan with the lenses of Section 25 factors of the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973. Andyan yung checklist, kaya may square yan, because that's meant to be a checklist. Ang unang consideration, and it's meant to be number one. Hindi lang coincidence na nilagay ko sa una yung children. But actually, that is the first consideration of the court. So when they look at how they would distribute your asset, they would have to pass by, kailangan sila dumaan sa checklist na to, titingnan, ano ba yung welfare ng bata? Sino yung mag-aalaga ng bata? Kanino titira yung mga bata? Who needs to look after the kids? Asan yung expenses? Saan manggagaling yung expenses nila? Normally, that depends kung sino yung nag-aalaga sa kanila, main carer. If it's shared, it still needs to be taken into account. You know, how are they going to split the finances? And as I've said, main bit is kung saan sila titira. Next is capital. So what's the capital? Hindi masyado klaro yan. Dalawang element yung capital. And for now, current capital, and RF, should be RF, reasonable and foreseeable, reasonably foreseeable future. So, ano yung likely mangyayari in the future? So, kung capital mo, halimbawa, talagang magkakaroon ka ng inheritance and namatay na yung magulang mo, but andun na sa probate na process at talagang ibibigay na lang sa'yo yung inheritance, then that can be reasonably foreseeable. However, kung in good health pa yung parents, in good health pa yung matatanda, then that's not reasonably foreseeable. Also, income. So, income mo, ano ngayon and ano in the future. So, one of the issues na common na nangyayari sa mga dual income family is one party may likely have to sacrifice a little bit sa career nila. So they would tend to do less hours for a few years hanggang tumanda na hanggang medyo mag-high school o medyo independent na yung mga bata. And the argument normally is, ay nako, we're expecting in the reasonable future na you'll go to full-time employment. So that's one thing na tinatanong. Yung isang partido ba, magpo-full-time yan pag malaki na yung bata? Kung okay ngayon, hindi ganun kataas yung income, but maybe in the future, would that be higher? The same with the other person. Sometimes naman yung mga bonuses, parating na pag-uusapan yan. Yung income ngayon, although it's not high kasi basic lang, maybe next year, end ng financial year, mataas ang bonus niyan. And it's reasonably foreseeable. Dahil alam ko, every year, 5 years na yan, nagkaka-bonus yan. So those things, titingnan ng korte yan. Capital. So capital, those pension, now and in the future, your car, your house, your savings, overseas and here. We've talked about income, check natin. Standard of living, titingnan din ng korte. Ano ba yung standard of living? If you see yung Form E, yung form na if you fill up on when you're completing your financial disclosure, may isang paragraph doon tatanungin ka. And people find it quite interesting. O bakit tinatanong ng korte kung ano yung standard of living ko? Living namin nung magkasama pa kami. It's exactly because of Section 25 factors. Dahil nakalagay po yan sa batas. So, titingnan, ilan ba yung holidays niyo per year? O, umuwi kami sa Pilipinas per year. And, pupunta kami sa Europe per year. In other circumstances, like, siguro yung mga tawag naman, the Paul McCartney cases, sabihin nila, we have 10 holidays per year. We have a holiday every month. So, titingnan ng korte kung ano yung standard of living ng isang pamilya. Most importantly, titingnan yung age. Gaano ba kalapit sa retirement yung isang partido? How many years na agwat nila, whether one party has more gainful employment years than the other party. And the next one is length of marriage. So, quite interestingly, it depends on circumstances, normally kung gaano yung impact nitong factor na to. But in the case law says, ano ba yung mahabang marriage? What is it? Ilang taon ba ang long marriage? By case law rather, it's 12 years above, including live-in, including cohabitation. Pwede mong i-count yung cohabitation. So, kung 5 years kayong kasal, pero 7 years kayong nagsama as live-in, that is a long marriage. As long as dire-diretso yan, that is a long marriage. So the court will have a look at that. The reasoning behind that is the longer na magkasama kayo, the longer na married-like couple kayo, is mas intertwined talaga yung inyong mga finances. The same contributions should be there is extraordinary contributions. Hindi lang dahil ikaw yung parating both ways, it looks both ways. Contributions, hindi yung natural contributions. So in a marriage, in a partnership, one party is expected to go to work, one party is in traditional way is expected to look after the children or look after the family, or more now, dual income, pero one party does a bit more of the DIY, yung isa nagluluto. Hindi yan yung extraordinary contribution na hinahanap ng korte. Ang extraordinary contribution, and by case law, and sample dyan is really Paul McCartney. So when Paul McCartney, 400 million yung asset base niya, most of that were just generated by his extraordinary contribution, which is his genius, his extreme success in the music industry. So that is extraordinary contribution. We see a lot of that, yung mga biglang mga henyo na biglang we hear a lot about startup, yung biglang naging multi-billion yung kanilang startup. They started together as a family na medyo modest, and then nagkaroon ng technical innovation yung isang partido, for one party, and then they become a multi-billionaire. Halimbawa si Mark Zuckerberg, that is an extraordinary contribution. It's something that is, we call it an elephant in the room that you really can't unsee. Yun ang contribution na more beyond the usual. Next is conduct, pero hindi po ito yung affairs, hindi po ito yung Not even, sadly, not even, yung not so not even domestic violence. Most cases hindi din yun conduct. So conduct is very extreme cases. It's conduct that would normally affect someone's employability. So may one time na domestic violence na kinonsider ng korte when they were dividing the assets. The reasoning behind that is yung domestic violence is so severe that it caused PTSD, and that PTSD caused the wife issues with getting employment. So, she can't hold a job. She can't, she's finding it emotionally difficult to stay in a career. And it was all proven in a psychiatric assessment. It was all proven by evidence. So that's one of those cases. But in really general, yung general cases na nakikita namin day in, day out, it's very rare. And it was a comment by a judge in one of my cases when I was doing the advocacy, and he asked me, Ms. Quinto, are you doing a conduct case? Winarningan ako. You know how extremely rare ang conduct case. I think it was in that particular case, I was saying, a bit of fraud, pero hindi naman ganun. Parang nagsinungaling yung partido before, not during the case, but before. But we can't quite pin it out. Wala namang criminal na conviction. And we were just making that submission to the court na medyo naughty yung kabila. And we tried to frame it in a half conduct case ang tawag dyan. So, kini-criticize namin yung conduct ng kabila. And we were given a warning by the court na binigyan kami ng reminder na napaka-rare ng conduct consideration dito sa UK. That's the reason ito ay isang myth buster sa ating mga Filipino community. Affair is not conduct issue here. Hindi po kasama ang bigamy or affair or cheating sa pag-divide distribute ng korte ng asset and income on divorce. So it wouldn't have any impact here. The fact na hindi siya not so nice person, unless you could prove na naapektuhan on a severe level ang ability mo to employability mo, ang ability to maintain a career, then it would be very difficult to still use domestic violence in there. Very, very difficult. Nakakalungkot, some people would say, well, that's a bit unfair, but that is the law. That is Section 25 factors, according to the Matrimonial Causes Act 1973. You remembered earlier na may sinabi ako, meron kaming ginagamit na parang, we call it the kitchen sink provisions, or jargon buster tayo. So when you're a law student, if you are a law student or if you're a young lawyer and you're training, you will hear this a lot. And it's quite interesting with that, dito. It's quite interesting. Ano ba yung kitchen sink provision? Kitchen sink, kasi andun lahat nakalagay sa kitchen sink, diba? So, doon namin nilalagay lahat ng gusto naming ilagay na argumento. We use this particular factor para ilusot ang gusto naming ilusot. And that's the factor called any other circumstances of the case. So the court is allowed to use that. Now, how much weight the court would put into this would put into each particular factors will depend on the circumstance. So, syempre, mabigat. So, may weighting yan. Siguro mataas yung weighting ng children. Big weight. Weight as in malakas na konsiderasyon. Malakas na konsiderasyon sa capital, malakas na konsiderasyon sa income, standard of living, and so on and so forth. But maybe dun sa inulusot ko lang na argumento, maybe the court will consider it, but will give it a little weight or not so much weight. So yun ang thought process ng korte. They look at they will look at your assets and income. They will look at the matrimonial part. They will calculate how much, gaano ba kalaki yung pot na yan, ano ba yung nakalagay dyan, ano ba yung figures na to. And we're trying to draw a line, we're trying to distribute that, distribute or divide, distribute kanino mapupunta yan, yan. They will use this. So yun ang visual tayo, diba? They will use this checklist. Pero hindi yan equal lahat, hindi yan na, ito lang, kailangan kong bigyan ng equal na weight lahat. It depends on the judge. We call it judicial discretion. It depends on the case. And that's the reason why I always say to you, kahit na gumagawa tayo ng ganito, meron tayong mga visual aid, and it seems, we try to make it as user-friendly as possible. Iba pa rin ang advice na maibibigay kung alam ng abogado yung particular circumstance mo. Dahil as what I've shown, judges will attach different weight kung sa tingin niya mahalagang konsiderasyon yung apat na to. But not so much yung contribution kasi hindi naman extraordinary. Wala ka namang conduct na pasok sa talagang kinoconsider ng korte. Although long ang marriage, they'll probably say, well, or medium marriage, let's say medium or short marriage, they'll probably say, well, hindi ganun ka lakas o kabigat ang weight na ibibigay ko dyan. So, yan ay makikita mo lang kung alam mo yung kwento ng dalawang partido, alam mo yung kwento ng pamilya na yan, alam mo kung anong nangyayari sa pamilya na yan. And that's the reason why we like to give this information para pag tayo ay magkakaroon ng preliminary consultation, ready ka na sa informasyon na ibibigay nyo sa amin. Ready na yung inyong matrimonial pot. So, pwede kang gumawa din. Gawa ka din ng iyong drawing. Hanapin mo din yung mga figures for those. And maybe, tingnan mo din kung gusto mong testingan lang, isipin ko yung mga dahil tatanungin yan ni Attorney Dana. So, whilst you're doing it, yung practical tip, tatanungin ko yan, ilan anak nyo, ano edad, ano yung capital nyo, ano yung income, ano standard of living, what's your age, what's your date of birth. Minsan nagugulan ng tayo, bakit gusto nyo malaman yung date of birth ko? How long are you married? Any extraordinary contribution? May conduct issue ba tayo? And any particular circumstance of the case that you'd like to tell me. So, the moral of the lesson is if you want to make the most out of your preliminary consultation, whether sa akin or any lawyer, it would be really helpful na you look at it from that point of view. Prepared na yung notes mo. Prepared na when they ask those questions, you can give those answers, and that's also useful when you're completing the Form A. So this is really in hopefully a useful summary how the court distributes assets and income on divorce. The summary of it is that they use a factor checklist, may section 25 factors sila, but they also use their judicial discretion on their judgment, their call, their judgment scale on balancing those factors and attaching weight on those factors so that they can arrive at a fair outcome. Bearing in mind, as we always say, reasonable needs, bearing in mind this guiding principle, sharing, needs, and compensation. But those three guiding principles are topics for another day, and we're going to probably stop here and give it back to Mr. Laragan.
Okay, wow. Natuwa ako sa kitchen sink provision, attorney, no? So, yan sa law, ang dami ng mga terminologies, no? Okay, kitchen sink provision, no? At teka muna, is it like... Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the trial and sa...
we use the wording, and sometimes, when you see judges, making a side comment about it, it's a commonly used jargon term. Nakakatawa.
Oo nga, no? Parang ano to, ibig sabihin, so, sabi mo nga, if they want to make the best, no, yung kanilang, and they get to see you, they have to get to be prepared, no? So, for example, you can see everything, the pot, okay, na pwedeng paghatian. When you say kitchen sink, you're trying to extricate something more that you can probably get out of it from kunyari client mo, no? You're putting it out there sa judge na ito pa ang pwede pa namin kunin, ganun. Parang hoping na baka sakali, ganyan. Ano ba yan? Parang you're trying to get a bigger pie of something? O hindi, not necessarily.
It's not necessarily an asset. The kitchen sink provision is a factor. So, yung last na factor dyan, we call it any other circumstances of the case. So, kung may special circumstance yung case, may something unusual about this case, or just a unique characteristic of the case, may extra information na binigay yung client sa'yo. And this is more for lawyers or training to be lawyers or law students. When you use strategy, these are one of the strategies lawyers use when they try inserting, ilulusot yung argumento na gusto nila. They're gonna use that all other circumstances of the case. Dahil nakalagay doon, sabi ng matrimonial causes act, pwede ko daw sabihin sa judge, you can look at all other circumstances of the case. And how do you say that, Ms. Quinto? How do you say that I can look at that? Because of, I think it's section G actually, of the section 25 of the Matrimonial Causes Act. And in this particular case, for example, si Mr. Juan de la Cruz ay, meron siyang particular na what would be a particular circumstance of the case na sinabi niya na he gave up his life in the Philippines, a promising career in the Philippines, to go and follow the wife here so that they can build a life together. But now, wala na yan. And although hindi naman sinasabi na extraordinary, we call that spousal generated disadvantage, we can just use that as well to give the judge a bit more picture, color dun sa ano talaga nangyari dito. You're trying to persuade the judge, mabuti yung client ko, maybe you can give him a bit more weight because of this. It doesn't normally work unless meron punchy yung argument mo. But if you're a law student, you will see this. This is more of a tactical, strategic point. And we try to introduce arguments via this point. Dahil minsan, gusto lang ng client. They just want to be heard. They just want to see, gusto ko malaman ng judge, ganito yung nangyari. Gusto ko malaman ng judge, nagsakripisyo ako. And I have to explain, sasabihin ko, ipaparinig natin, pero baka hindi ganun kabigat ang bibigay niya na konsiderasyon doon. Pero ipaparinig natin. And sometimes, and I've heard this, as well from a judge, that sometimes people just want to be heard. People just want to say their piece. So that is, kung may gusto kayong sabihin na ganyan, you have to tell me, unless sa atin, ang parati kong naririnig is nag-cheat o nagka-affair, I wouldn't put that in all circumstances of the case unless alam ko na may nagko-cohabit na. So sabihin ko sa kanya, hindi yan relevant yung nag-cheats. Unfortunately, for the finances, hindi relevant yan. Pero kung yung bago niyang partner, tumutulong sa pagbabayad sa bahay, may magandang trabaho, may resources, then I can use that. The cheating in itself is irrelevant in this exercise. What I would say is, malaki na ang capital, titingnan natin section, malaki na ang income niya or capital, mababa na yung kanyang income needs, mababa na yung kanyang yung standard of living niya, konti na lang yung income needs niya dahil tinutulungan na siya nitong bagong partner niya. Hindi na ganun ka dami ang kanyang expenses per month dahil may tumutulong na sa kanya. And that is a factor that the court has to take into account, that yung client ko in this particular instance, isa lang siya sa bahay. Dun sa kanila, dalawa sila. So that's how we present it. We present it in that way. And maybe I can say, look, they've been hiding this relationship for months, and then my client was still sending money to the other side. So those are the little things that pwede kong insert via all circumstances of the case. Whether or not the court will, allow that or give weight to to my arguments on that, it depends on the court. Judicial discretion, kumbaga. If you're a law student, you always find that maraming mga pro tips sa mga law students, maraming mga features ng English law na ganyan. All other circumstances of the case. And that's what you will use if you want to introduce an out-of-the-box, a creative argument. So that's a tip for law students. But very, very interesting. It's a very interesting area. One of the most technical areas of English law is matrimonial finances.
Okay. So, parang ano yan eh, parang ano lang ba, attorney, how do you call it? Parang, how do you call this? Optional, parang ganun. Pwede yan na parang, the one of your client halimbawa, or the spouse, or one of the spouses would like to air something na, yun nga, na ako'y dapat ganito kinita ko, kung di dahil sa ganun, nagsakripisyo ako. Ano yun eh, parang drama-drama, kwento lang ba yun? In the hope ba yan of getting more? Or not just to be aired lang? Parang optional na pwede lang mapagbigyan lang magsalita na alam ba ng mga korte yung mga ganyan na tipong, teka muna, drama-drama lang to, hindi ko na pagbibigyan to, or sige na lang, pagbigyan ko na rin. Parang gano'n.
No, hindi nila pagbibigyan yan
okay.
on the decision. But sometimes if the client is real, and this is real talk, yung spousal generated disadvantage, yung sinasabi mo somebody had to give up a career, that's actually a very, an argument na well you support eh. Hindi lang yan drama lang. A lot of people has actually said, look, I had to give up a promising career for years because to take care. Although less na ngayon yung mga ganyan, but that's more on going towards a more legitimate argument. It's not a good idea to misuse and abuse that all circumstances of the case because, as you rightly said, makikita, the court will see through it. Ang korte, they hear this every day, ilang kaso ang hinihear nila, they will see through it. But sometimes, if you think legitimate naman yung argument pero hindi ko siya ma-insert dun sa mga usual na mga factors. And I just want to try to see if the court can have a full flavor of the case kung alam nila yung additional information na to. You have to, as a lawyer, and it's again a tip for law students, judges don't have, when you get to a hearing, you don't have the whole day. You have a very limit, or you don't have an infinite period of time to give your arguments. You only have a certain period of time. And it's a skill to weed out irrelevant arguments or irrelevant factors, and you are only left with relevant arguments because judges only have so much patience, only have so much time. So you really have to capture their focus, you have to capture their attention. So you can't just put mga, garbage arguments into the kitchen sink. It has to be punchy. It has to carry some weight. It has to not contaminate. We have this, saying, wag mo i-contaminate yung good arguments mo with bad arguments. You don't want to give the judge that feeling na, ay, tinatry niya lang, they're just trying it out and they're not really, they don't really believe in this. This is irrelevant, what are you doing? So what you want to do when you want to put all other circumstances, and sometimes when I say, some people would just want to hear, it may be a relevant, a very, very relevant issue for them both. And you may not know now, okay, this is, this may affect the whole picture of this case. But it cannot be that it's so it doesn't have any relevance to it. It cannot be that it's, as what I've said, just a garbage argument para mag-cause lang ng trouble or ng drama. It can't be like that as well, because as lawyers, we also have a duty to make sure that we use the court's resources wisely. We use everyone's resources wisely. So, may ganun din. Kaya kami sinasabi namin sa korte straight, sa client namin, no, I'm not gonna use that. Straight away, pag sinabi sa akin, attorney Dana, lagay mo naman doon, dun sa financial na issue natin, lagay naman dun na nag-cheat siya, I'm gonna go straight away and say, I'm not gonna use that. Hindi ko yan, kahit sa all circumstances of the case, I'm not even gonna use that. I may put I may put a one-liner na sasabihin na the reason for the breakup is this. Although sometimes it's hindi na siya relevant dun sa exercise ng korte. So when we say that to you, it's not because we're being dismissive, it's because wini-weed out lang talaga namin yung mga factors na sasabihin ng judge, nope, no go. No go. There's not completely, and you know better. Sasabihin sa amin, you know better. You're a lawyer. You've studied this. You've been here before. You know better. So it's a balancing exercise. Minsan, there's no absolutely an absolute answer to this. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on the information. Go tell your lawyers, and then your lawyer will make that judgment call. Alin doon ang gagamitin natin, alin doon ang hindi.
Okay. Attorney, doon sa kanina, no, halimbawa, yung may partner, yung question kanina doon sa unang maaga pa lang tayo, di ba? Parang, well, I think sa ngayon, itong last na tinatalakay mo, halimbawa, yung kabilang party, may partner nga, no? Tapos may income, may pera dumating na. So parang hindi na masyadong makakahagal doon sa pot, no? Sa distribution ng assets and everything or sa mga income. But what if, for example, nagkasira yung dalawa na yun after 6 months, iba na yung status nung the other party? Can the other party go back in court or go back to this and say, hey, teka muna, when we had this, I was still with my partner who was somehow contributing to my, to my whatever my, yung status quo. Pero ngayon, wala na. Can we now change it? Meron bang ganyan mga cases? Let's say, in 6 months' time, biglang nag-away. Apo pwede?
Yeah. May mga ganon. Whether or not the court would allow the variation, I've heard of this. I've heard of instances, and it's only on issues mostly yung spousal maintenance. So what would likely happen in one situation is that the court, sasabihin niya na at that time kinount ng korte yung income nung kasama ko sa bahay, yung partner ko at that time towards my income. But now my income, from say sobrang yaman niya, 10,000 pounds a month ang income namin, and now I'm only earning 1,000 pounds a month because break na kami, hindi niya na ako binibigyan ng accommodation, hindi niya na ako binibigyan ng gano'n. You can see on that picture alone yung change ng landscape, yung change ng sitwasyon. And maybe on that situation, potentially, they can ask the court to say, look, there has been a material change in the landscape of my case because from earning a household earning this and a partner giving me this, then I now have nothing. So the court should only really take into account yung mga bagong partners kung sa tingin nila strong at sustainable na. Yun din ang hindi yung mga mag-boyfriend at girlfriend lang take into consideration na sila. It's only when medyo matibay-tibay na yung period of cohabitation. But even that, as you rightly said, Mr. Laragan, kahit mga ilang taon na sila nagkukuhabit, naghihiwalay pa rin ng mga tao So, potentially, it's a good question. Potentially, someone could say na paki-review nga to dahil nawala na yung contribution ng partner ko, and it's a massive contribution.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, ayan at least naliwanagan sila maski paano paunti-unti, sabi nga kapag present dito sa ating klase, maski paano you can take away, something dito sa ating discussion. Okay, attorney, siguro yung mga final pagbati natin before we say good night, ayan, sino to? Si Lawrence Alcazar. Uy, buhay pa pala si Lawrence.
Grabe naman. Ate,
Oh,
friend
oh,
ko siya sa Facebook. Buhay na buhay po yan. Ang ganda nga ng mga picture.
oh, really?
Ang
Oh, si Lawrence. Hindi, kasi si Lawrence, okay, Lawrence, mabuhay ka, no? It's been a long time since we last spoke, no? So, yeah, Lawrence, mabuhay ka, no? I can see you're a good person. Ganda naman ang message niya, attorney. I can
nakakatuwa
see
naman.
you're a good person. Nasa aura mo, no? You're a good person.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Oo nga. All right. Si Edgar. Ano yung kay Edgar?
Right. Magandang gabi, legendary, sexy voice of media, Sonny Laragan, at sa mga taga-subaybay. Hello sa inyong lahat, I think. Lalo na sa magician, chef, noodle expert, attorney Dana Q, mga barkada ko, peace. Hi, direct medalist, PPRP. And happy 15th birthday to my baby Anna today. Happy birthday, Anna! Anna Duay, happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Ana. Oh, happy birthday. August pala, no? A birthday, well, ang father ko, birthday, napakaaga, August 3, no? Ayan, oo. So, si Direk, pagkatapos na happy graduation at lahat, happy birthday naman siya, September pa, no? So, malapit na tayo.
September.
Ikaw, attorney, end December, di ba? December, ano ka ba? 30,
December
31st?
Matagal pa, yes.
Oo, matagal pa. December, oo. Malapit na yan. Berne, di ba? A few tulog na lang. Andiyan na. Uy, si Oliver. Hindi ko makita di sa malaki. Hanapin ko. Masyadong malit. Sige, basahin mo. Sige, attorney.
Oliver Fernandez says, got back Sunday afternoon and we'll be back to work Wednesday night po. Managed to shake off COVID symptoms a few air flight back. If you would allow me the secret to being first on the comment block, compose your thoughts beforehand by writing it down, then copy and paste as soon as the comment box appears. You're welcome. Nako, binigay ang sekreto. Napakabait ni Oliver Fernandez. Maraming salamat,
Oo.
Oliver Fernandez. Nako.
Ayan, yung pala ang technique niya. Merong sana hindi mo binigay. Pero okay lang yan. Okay lang yan. And then,
Kasi
nakakatuwa
ano
naman.
tayo dito, dagdag
Okay lang yan.
kaalaman.
Nagkaalaman din. Oo.
Alam,
Si
kahit
Gigi Elamparo.
maglagay ng
Mabuhay,
comment. Gigi
Oo.
Elamparo says, good evening, Attorney Donna and Kuya Sonny. Also, Derek Pao, happy Tuesday. All viewers, have a lovely evening. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Medyo
Have a lovely evening, ha. Din sa'yo, Gigi, ha. Ano ang tunay mong pangalan, Gigi? Ano ka ba? Maria Grace? Ikaw ba ano pangalan nun? Ano ba yung mga Gigi? Meron kasi ako, auntie. Evangeline. Ano ba si Gigi ko? Yung akin si Gigi na auntie ko. Auntie ko, pero mas bata sa akin yun, eh. Kasi, kumbaga, youngest sister ng mom. Auntie Gigi. Ano ba pangalan niya? Maria, nakalimutan ko na. Maria Grace ba siya? Maria Grace or ano, kasi yung isa si Bonita, si Maria Norma, no. Hindi ko na alam pangalan ng auntie ko, Yung formal, yung isa. Anyway, yung isa auntie ko kasi si Tina, si Auntie Carot, Valentina, kaya Tina.
Valentina.
Si Edgar Duway uli. Ano yan?
Edgar Duway, weaponizing my brain with knowledge. Lol. Pwede na ako makipag-divorce, lol. Uy, naku, Edgar. Magpayo ng konti, then turo ko si Attorney DQ, lol. Mabuhay ka din, Edgar. Pero gawin sa tama. Gamitin sa tama ang impormasyon na makukuha dito. Ayun ang aming, PG, patnubay sa magulang, pakigamit sa tama yung matututunan niyo sa show na to.
Okay, pero wala kang choice kung talagang well, we're not talking of Edgar and Irene, no? Pero ibig sabihin ko, wala ka talagang choice talaga at di na kayo talaga nagmamahalan, lagi na lang kayo nag-aaway. Di ba? I-divorce na. In fact, parang may dumaan sa akin sa Pilipinas yata, parang ang proponent yata niya, si Rafi Tulfo, no? Divorce sa Pilipinas. Kasi ang usong-uso sa Pilipinas, Yes, attorney, ano yun? Ako?
Oh, sorry. May lag tayo eh. Yeah, go ahead.
Hindi, yun lang. Yun si Rafi Tulfo, no? Sa Pilipinas. Medyo, ang current way na para magkahiwalay at makapag-asawa uli, yung annulment, no? Yun ang ginagawa. Pero ngayon, divorce yata, parang pinapanukalang batas na sa Pilipinas. And I don't know kung ano yan, no? Matutuloy na, no? Attorney, direct, yun naman yung last natin. Meron pa rito. Go, sorry, attorney, you wanted something to add something?
Before I read the comment of Bernadette Bisti, hi Bernadette, thank you for watching.
Oo.
I just want to say something about, kasi I think unpopular opinion sa Pilipinas, and na divorce lawyer ka or supporter ka ng divorce. I think what I learned from my practice here dito sa UK, in certain situation, tama na magkaroon ng option ng divorce ang isang partido, ang isang pamilya, ang dalawang tao. But hindi lang 'yon. I think when you're looking at divorce law, I think in any jurisdiction, kailangan suportado ng iba pang batas yung mga reforma na gagamitin sa area na yan. Like here, meron tayong non-molestation. So yung mga domestic violence na yan, magkakaroon ng protection. Alam ko may mga injunction naman doon. Magkakaroon ng protection ang mga babae man o lalaki who's going through that particular period in their life. Dahil dito, tatlo, di ba? Alam natin, tatlo ang kailangan mong umitin. Hindi lang divorce as ang anak nyo at ang inyong kabuhayan, pero probably the three most important thing sa buhay ng isang tao, yung pamilya niya, yung anak niya, yung napundar niya, at yung asawa niya. And if you're looking at those issues, at those problems, in a modern setting, if we are going to modernize family law in the Philippines, hindi lang sana divorce lang, kung nakikinig man yung mga kongresista natin, hindi man divorce lang yung or senador natin, hindi lang divorce lang, please pakitingnan din po yung non-molestation, the protection against individuals who's going through the divorce. Paano natin mapoprotectionan yung mga bata who are going to be fruits of the divorce? Paano sila magkakaroon? How are we going to ensure yung welfare nila? Hindi lang yung contact nila dun sa isang partido or sa kabilang partido, but equally child maintenance nila. If that is going to start a number of peripheral issues. And kung tama na ako, supporter ako, but if you're gonna do that, you have to be prepared to deal with all the other issues that this will result to, all the other problems. And equally, you have to make sure na may equality of footing ang mga partido. So, make sure as well that yung mga katulad dito, yung mga victims ng domestic violence, they're able to get legal aid or funding from government so that they're not stuck in an abusive relationship. And equally, they will be able to set up on their own and transition to independence. So hindi lang po yan one reform. In divorce alone wouldn't solve the problems of a society. You have to have all the supportive organizations, all the supportive law, so that you ensure na maayos ang magiging available options and practically ng mga tao na dadaan sa proseso na yan. But yeah, I think personal opinion, it should be made available, but equally there should be some thought as to paano natin i-implement yan along with all those other concerns, especially sa mga bata.
Ayan, oo. Pero yun ang problema sa Pilipinas, walang kapera-pera, no? Yung mga support, baka hindi maisama sa provision. Abangan natin, tingnan natin yung bill, yung paano kaya batas.
Yung pera, may PAW tayo, Philippine, yung mga public attorneys, yung pera in terms of children maintenance, hindi naman galing sa gobyerno yan You just need a government institution that will be so strong na kaya nilang kumuha ng suporta from one individual to the next. But then the problem, as you said, with the Philippines is, mostly dealing with cash. Hindi naman nakikita sa mga bank statements o saan na yan So we have to look at those. And it's probably a step-by-step process sa kanila. And from my experience, at the very least, yung protection, hindi lang babae ang nagiging biktima ng physical abuse or domestic abuse. Although naturally, yung mga babae ang on an orthodox level, on a usual level, sila yung nagiging biktima. Pero meron din mga lalaki, meron din mga lalaki na biktima ng abuse. I think that's one area as well na hindi naman kailangan ng ganun kalaking pera siguro. Kailangan lang ng reforma and update so that it really reflects the societal changes. And that's what you see in the law here. You see Supreme Court moving, and I don't know about the president and the precedent of the cases and movements of the cases, but you really see the movement of the judgment here in the UK na nagmo-move talaga siya in accordance with yung temperature ng society, in accordance with the societal norms, in accordance with the changing landscape of the society. So, kung mag-a-ambition tayo in terms of mag-wish tayo for a reform of law in the Philippines, of a better suited law, you hope as well na ganun yung movement nila, na ipupush nila na updated tayo sa kung ano talaga nangyayari sa Pilipinas. Kasi alam mo nangyayari ngayon, Mr. Laragan, napakaraming OFW, napakaraming may problema sa contact sa anak dahil nasa ibang bansa. You know, maraming hindi na gusto na mag-divorce, hindi naman makuhang mag-divorce, and it's presenting a lot of problems. Maraming hiwalay na, pero kailangan pa rin nila ng signature ng ex nila para dun sa property nila. That's what I've heard. So there's a lot of this, quite, in my opinion, humble opinion, you know, we have to ask ourselves kung well-suited, apt pa ba itong mga batas na. I'm not saying na hindi. I'm saying we have to ask ourselves, and we have to continually ask ourselves whether these are applicable sa current na modern family.
Okay, ayan. All right. Okay. Ayan, ako, napag-usapan natin divorce, no? Divorce kasi dito medyo maayos sa UK, no? Sa Pilipinas, hopefully, yung sinasabi nga na Atty. DANNA, maiayos yung mga iba-ibang mga components yan, di ba? Yung, hindi lang, sabi mo, babae, kundi pati lalaki din, sasaktan, ano tawag natin doon? Attorney?
Domestic violence, anti-domestic violence.
Domestic violence, hindi lang, domestic violence, yeah. Hindi lang babae, pati lalaki, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, si Bernadette, ikaw, yung schedule mo, wag mo tanongin yung schedule mo, tanongin mo, no? Ayan, sabi niya, good evening po, to you both, sabi niya, di ba? Thank you for the information, very useful. Watching from Twickenham, si Bernadette Bisdi. Bernadette, mabuhay ka, no? Ayan, napakahusay niyan. Very successful na individual yan, no? Sana makakasama natin, ikaw, tayong tatlo nila, mag-coffee tayo ni Bernadette, no? So, napakahusay niyan. One of the pioneers ng mga realtor yan dito sa United Kingdom, more than 20, 30 years ago, sila yung mga nagsisimula. Okay. Well, I guess it's time for us to say goodbye. Meron ba tayo bang additional direct? Okay. Sige. Alright. Attorney, baka meron kang yung mga ito, sige. Gusto ko lang bago natin magpaalam si attorney at may mga additional na mensahe. Ito ho, itong weekend to Saturday ho, yung festival, Philippine Festival of Food, Music, and Culture. Ayan, Saturday na ho, ito, 3rd of September. So get your tickets, no? Andyan ho ako, I'll be one of the MCs. At let's have a good time, no? Pag-usapan ho natin, doors will open at 10 a.m. So halos whole day yan. Ayan, no?
Wow.
Sa Kent. Hawkins, Kent. Ayan, ano ba yung address niya? Anong address niya? Babasahin ko sana. Babasahin ko muna direct, babasahin ko lang. Address niya is, saan ba? Hawkins Community Center. Ano yan? Heron, Forestall Avenue, Hawkins, Folkestone, Kent. City, ano yan? 187 TP ba yan? Tama ba?
FP.
Anyway, nakikita niyo, maski FP. Okay, alright. So, Hawkins Center. Okay, attorney, baka meron ka pang, how do they get in touch with you in case, they gusto ko maging abogado si attorney dahil sabi niya ni ano, sabi niya kanina ni Lawrence, you are a good person ba? Sabi niya, you seem, sabi niya?
Nakakatawa.
You seem to be a good person or something like that, parang gano'n, no? So, attorney, any last mga shoutouts at saka how to get in touch with you? Sige, go ahead please.
Shoutout natin dahil paborito natin ang lahat, but very special ang Duway family sa atin. So shoutout to baby Anna, I think siya yung baby ng family. Happy birthday kay Anna Duway. And I think lumabas yung congratulations sa mga nakita ko din, yung isa sa mga Duway kids, lumabas na yung GCSE ba yun. So congratulations. And sa lahat ng mga nanonood, thank you. Kahit nag-freeze tayo, nag-freeze na naman ako. Maraming salamat po. Yung mga nakakatawang umuwi po dito every Tuesday. I do feel na umuwi ako sa Pilipinas. Parang umuwi lang po ako sa Pilipinas every Tuesday. At nakakataba po ng puso yung mga greetings, yung community natin. So from myself, maraming salamat po. And Mr. Laragan, thank you so much as usual. And aming Direct Pao, thank you for sorting out our mga effects natin. At bago ko makalimutan, kung gusto nyo magpa-consult, you can email me at danna.quinto@dbsolicitors.com or call me at 01234-225-188. I'll repeat that. It's danna.quinto@dbsolicitors.com or call me at 01234-225-188. And yes, Mr. Laragan, back to you. Nag-jacket ka na, nakita ko, nilamig ka na ata. Malamig. No, baka mahamugan si Mr. Laragan.
Biglang lumamig. Oo nga, attorney. Oo, biglang lumamig eh. Yeah. Do they call you Miss Quinto, no? Quinto ang pronunciation dito sa UK? Quinto?
Yeah, Quinto. I'm called Quinto. Yeah. Sa ating Quinto.
Ever since you arrived, when you arrived, ang basa na mostly ng mga tao, Quinto?
Yeah, Quinto. Yeah, Quinto.
Quinto. Okay. O, para sa akin Laragan sa Pilipinas di ba? Pagdating dito, mas Laragan. Wow, Laragan.
Ganda kahit ako ganun, Quinto daw. Parang ganda, masarap pakinggan.
Quinto.
Quinto.
Miss Quinto. Miss Danna Quinto.
Yeah, professionally. That's how that's how they pronounce it. So parang kung nadadala, syempre pag tatawag ka, baka yung kabilang partido baka hindi maintindihan sino si Quinto. So I have to follow how they call me. It's like, oh, this is Miss, because that's how they say it here. So I guess we anglicize ng konti yung apelyido. Ayun na ba si Mimi?
Ayan, okay. Akala ko may tumawag sa akin Okay, yeah. Well, naku, namimiss ko na yung pusa na yun, ha? I miss that cat, no? Although may cat kami, yung aking daughter, si Sophia, meron siyang cat, ang pangalan si Scratch. Cute. Yun, attorney, I'm sure may ari, no? Pumunta lang sa bahay nila, hindi na umalis. No? Ang pangalan niya si Scratch. Yung aking mga apo ang tawag si Squatch. Yeah, Scratch. No, Scratch. So, yeah. Inaabangan ko yung aking aso kung kailan darating, no? Sana may dumating may aso. May inaabangan ko aso. Sana may... Well, nandun pa lang sa loob ng tiyan eh. Palabas pa lang. Pag lumabas na, hopefully sana nakakontrata. Ilang buwan ba aso? Ilang buwan ba nagbubuntis? 2 months? 3 months?
2 months, ewan ko, 2 months ata. Pero kailangan pa ata, hindi mo ata makukuha yun ng newborn eh. Kailangan atang dun muna sa nanay ng ilang linggo.
Tama ka. Palakihin pa ng konti. No? Tama. Pero sana matuloy.
Sana matuloy. Anong breed?
Pakita ko siya.
Anong breed?
Hindi ko pa alam. Hindi pa. Chicheck ko pa lang. Kasi yung father, may bayad eh. May bayad pag nagpaano kaya ata. I don't know kung 250 or 300 yung kunyari, lalaki yung sa'yo, babae, ganyan. Babayaran mo ng para, 250 to 300. So anyway, hopefully sana, no, I'm looking forward because I'm looking forward to having for the first time a puppy, no, a dog dito sa United Kingdom. And
Very
yan. Wait,
good.
teka muna. Happy
Okay.
birthday nga pala. Happy birthday kay Ana. Binati mo. So, magsi-second the motion
Yo,
ako,
pati
no? So, Ana,
isa.
happy birthday sa'yo, no? Mabuhay ka. And yes, mapalad ka dahil meron kang daddy na katulad ni Edgar, si Daddy Edgar mo dahil wow. Iba talaga si Daddy Edgar talaga, he can do anything talaga, no? So, I'm sure he's been a loving father. He has guided the children, no? Sila Alex, di ba? No? Si Alex, mahusay magsayaw.
Very
Papaturo ako magsayaw. And of course, Irene, no? Na mahusay yung mga magulang na yan. So, I guess it's time for us to say goodbye. No? Magpapaalam na ako, no? Magpapaalam na ho kami, no? I guess it's time for us to say goodbye na, no? We'll see you again next Tuesday, ho. Naalala ko si attorney kasi sabi ni attorney, pagka may show na following day, parang hindi siya makatulog, excited siya, no? So,
excited.
oh, so yeah, kita ulit tayo next Tuesday, no, for another edition ng Legal Advice Corner, no. So till then, sa ngalan ni Attorney Dana Quinto, sa ngalan ni Direk Pau, ito po si Sonny Laragan nagsasabing thank you very much for keeping us company. We'll see you again. So till then, take care, God bless, and good night. Bye.
Good night.
Thank you for being with us. Good night.